All right, we're recording. All right, my name is Ryan Riley.
Billy Padace.
Just Taylor Moss.
I'm Nancy Scotto.
All right. So this week's prompt was going over the lectures and readings and how it focused on public leadership and leadership perspective. The prompt was please describe organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. And then it says to consider in this discussion the communication issues faced by BP in the spill and the failures of crisis communication. So just right off the bat, I had an answer. Training leaders on crisis types and crisis stages is important to helping leadership handle crisis well in a way that allows the company to continue on post-crisis. So that's just kind of a synopsis of my take on it. And then what I did is I started to relate the company that I work for, GoDaddy, and how it would fit into the 10 crisis types that were listed by the book. The ones that fit in the most closely, based on my experience, would be public perception and product or service. Public perception, in that there was a PR nightmare for GoDaddy. It was quite a while ago, but the owner at that time, and the leader of the company, had gone to Africa and paid to shoot an elephant. So people were pretty horrified by it, and public perception of the company was, hey, this guy's a jerk. He's leading the company, so we don't want to deal with the company. They put damage control and crisis control out, but by that point, the public perception is pretty negative, and it's taken a while for it to build back up. And we still have some people that reference that in our customer base. And then as far as product or service, we actually just on Monday of this past week, so just about a week ago, had about 24 hours where our old email product was down. And so that product was affecting somewhere in the neighborhood of thousands of customers where their business email was down. And so that was a pretty big crisis, in that businesses that can't access their email for 24 hours are in a pretty bad mood when you're talking to them.
Jeez.
So then, Ryan, you said you had kind of a take on your company and the crisis types.
Oh yeah, working in the movie theater, you deal with almost all 10 of these. I feel like public perception. If someone comes to your movie theater and just has a bad time, they're just gonna like spread the word throughout their families, like Harkin sucks, AMC's better, something like that. So I had to deal with that a lot. I think one of the crises that's like people think happens a lot but doesn't is like shootings. Obviously there's always the risk, like we run into people all the time that have guns and stuff on them, but we just pretty much tell them to put it in the car and they're okay with that. Especially because in Arizona people are allowed to carry guns. Product or service, we pretty much deal with this on a daily basis. We have like 16-year-olds sometimes preparing food for people, and it doesn't work out always the best. Sometimes they'll drop it on the ground. Obviously we can't sell that, but then other times they'll burn it a little bit and give it out, and we'll have to deal with people giving it back, wanting the refund, wanting a new product, something like that along those lines. Even if the movie, like something goes wrong with the movie itself, the projector stops working, the sound isn't working during the movie, we have to like refund the entire movie, which can be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But yeah, working in a movie theater, we definitely have to prepare for crisis almost every single second you're there. Like I was handling the money last night, and like our tube system wasn't working, so I had to like walk through the lobby with a ton of people with like, at one point I had like $3,000 in my hands, and like I was just like, I mean, I'm not worried, but if someone comes and like tackles me right now, this could get bad.
Let me know when that happens next time.
For real. But yeah, there's just a bunch of crises at a movie theater that we have to prepare for a lot.
I feel like with crises, I always talk about my workplace, but we also have like crises in my sorority. So like, say we're doing like the fire alarm goes off during our chapter meeting. Like we as an executive board have to like be able to manage that and like get in our like we have certain groups that we're in and like those are the groups that we're in if ever we're in like a certain like crisis like that where like we know who like our executive member is to go to, so then we can like say all safely get out of the building and then like obviously take attendance, make sure everyone's accounted for, because like ultimately like with my sorority at least it's up to like us as an executive board and our president to be able to like take care of like all of our members. And so definitely if there is a crisis, like we do have to have like a plan already like in like effect that we can always like go back on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know for Starbucks, there was a recall on like the metal straws, like maybe like a year ago or something. Doesn't matter. Anyways, it was important for them to like get the information out to each store quickly because, you know, people were coming in like, hey, this straw stabbed me in the mouth. Like, can you do something about this? So it's like we had to know right away, you know, that this product was recalled so that we could get them like a new plastic straw so that they weren't stabbing themselves with a metal straw. You know, Starbucks within each store also, I think, like through different stores, since it's everywhere all over the world, could go through all other 10 crises too. So
Yeah. My store ran out of venti ice cups. That sucked. Like to
Yep,
run out
that's
of
a mess.
venti ice cups, like we didn't have none in our storage room. So imagine going to Starbucks saying, "Hey, can I get like a venti iced coffee?" Oh, sorry, we don't have venti cups. I would be like, "What do you mean? Like
Yep.
that's like your main thing. Like it's small, medium, large. Come on."
When Jurassic World came out, we ran out of ice.
Oh my god.
So until like one of our managers at the time went to like every gas station within 10 miles and bought all their ice, there was no ice.
Imagine buying ice for a movie theater.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. In the back of our movie theater, we have like 3 giant ice machines to make sure that doesn't happen. And somehow it still happened.
And they just gave up.
So for an airline, I think all of these different types of crises apply. Public perception is huge, especially with social media.
Right now.
Off airplanes and ridiculousness. And then, you know, how you prepare for that eventually, you know, working at an airport, you know what's going to happen. So you have to train your employees and know, okay, people are going to have their phones out. They're going to be taking videos of you, you know, don't be a dick, basically. But then also responding to it when it does happen and taking proactive steps to try to make it better instead of just letting it go and get all crazy. But then one that's really affecting us right now is natural disasters. With the hurricanes, it's been a huge impact for the airlines, and we did a lot of stuff communicating ahead of time. You know, obviously these are ones you know are coming. So we're doing a lot of communications to customers saying, hey, you know, change your tickets, whatever you need to do, get out of there. And then for employees and trying to, you know, help employees get everybody out and then get themselves out and be ready to go back in and then start getting everything going again.
Perfect. I think it's a good segue into the second part of what we were going to talk about with the crisis stages. So, and then relating it back to the BP oil spill. So with crises within an organization and getting leadership prepared, the 3 stages are obviously pre-crisis, crisis, and then post-crisis. And then as far as the relation to the BP spill, it specifically referenced that that the BP oil spill warning signs were ignored, so it could have been prevented, and so if they'd done a better job pre-crisis of recognizing the warning signs, then there wouldn't have been a crisis. So with any job, any organization out there, that's the first thing, is just recognizing dangers, looking out for what could happen, and then even if it is something that you can't prevent, just getting people prepared. Creating a crisis management plan is something that was referenced on that, and training people directly on what to do in the instance of a crisis. We are at like 10 and a half minutes, so does anybody have anything to add for the pre-crisis piece?
I can go real quick. Just an easy one would be the active shooters that could come through a movie theater. We actually have a training that our theater does. At least all the managers have to go through with an evacuation plan and how to where to hide, how to hide, pretty much don't show yourself if it's possible. And yeah, that's pretty much our pre-crisis we do for that. Pretty much all the managers go through I think it's an hour and a half training, almost 2 hour training on it. It's pretty in depth, but that's how we prepare for that situation. Hopefully I never have to deal with that, but hey, you never know.
We do drills all the time for flights. And it involves all levels, down to the agents who actually work the flight, the gate agents, those who are loading bags, all the way up to upper management. And we do these drills, and everybody who was involved for that flight that's chosen is brought together, and they work through, if something was to happen with this flight, here's the exact process we would go through, and they practice it.
Okay.
So in hopes that we never have to do that, but knowing that it's a big possibility, and we need to know what we would do and how to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Getting up towards the time limit, so we probably should just grab the last two pieces, and then we can kind of see what we have time for. So obviously stage 2 is the actual crisis itself, and so the big things during the crisis are going to be to initiate action, so be vigilant to make decisions and quick decisions on that. So relating to the BP spill, so the BP CEO was not very sensitive and said he wanted his life back rather than focusing on the families and the victims and families of victims, which further hurt the company by saying that the spill was just a drop in the ocean. So he minimized the actual impact of it. And then the third stage is obviously post-crisis. And so just relating that back to the BP spill, they actually went kind of on the denial end of things, which in some instances can be effective when you go the denial route and try and shift blame. But when BP was doing this, it came off as shirking responsibility and avoiding accountability rather than helping out the victims that were impacted by it. So sorry, I wanted to relate the crisis and post-crisis, just to make sure we got those in. Does anybody have anything to add on that or relate it back to anything we were talking about?
I'm good.
Nope.
Cool. Well, I think that kind of sums up, and we hit the highlights on that. So I think we're good to go there.